Saseni, mkofiti, manze nimewahata. Manze nimewahata. Najua mwona topic mkasema, I Cele, Covid-19. Yes. Yes, today we are talking about Covid-19. It is something that is affecting all of us, so we need to talk about it. It is because of COVID that tuko lockdown. Ingekuwa sio hii kitu, hatungewahi jua kitu ka lockdown. So we have to talk about COVID. And because mimi sijui about COVID-19, I don't know. I know imekam ikafanya tu watu waendi job, imekam ikafanya tu KCPE inafanywa jano. KCPE ikafanya lini tena sijui Mei. Ilifanywa Mei ama ilifanywa Feb ama ilifanywa March? Ilifanywa March. Season ya maembe. Yani COVID imekam ika paralyze system. Venye tumezoea, like tumezoea you have to go to work, urudi home. Sasa tumefanywa na COVID, unajua you can work from your house. You can do a Zoom meeting, uvae tai hadi hapa, huku kwingine uvae pajamas. So that's all I know about COVID-19. So because of that, I had to look for someone, mwenye specialist, mwenye anajua, what is this COVID-19? What is this vaccine? Especially the vaccine. You know, that's where we are currently. The vaccine. I don't know kama umekuwa vaccinated. Personally, nangojea frontline wapewe as I wait for my turn. Yes, as I wait for my turn. Either way, tutakuwa tu vaccinated at some point. So because of that, I have Dr. Angie today on Cele's Reflection. And you have to clap for me by this. Because naletea madaktari. Dr. Angie, karibu sana.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good.
I'm happy to be here.
Karibu sana. Feel at home.
Thank you.
There's no tea, there's no soda. Tutakunywa after show. Yeah, so guys, today we have Dr. Angie. We are talking about the vaccine. The vaccine for COVID-19. Personally, acha nikwambie tu Angie, from where I sit, from here, mimi tu niko a bit skeptical. Like, mom na dad wamepewa, because wao ni elderly wako kwa hiyo mark, wao so walipewa. Mimi nangojea tani yangu ifike, but at the same time, niko tu zile za, I'll have it cause sina option. But deep down, ningekuwa na option. Anyway, we are supposed to be vaccinated. So Angie, hebu tuambie, just tell me, this vaccine, first question, hii ni swali tunajiuliza sisi wote. Tumekaa hapa hivi na maugonjwa ngapi hii Kenya? Tumekaa na maugonjwa kama cancer zimetumalizia our loved ones. COVID imekuja. Kidogo vaccine imetoka. Hata we Angie. Si pia nyinyi mnatupima sana bana.
Well, I get your reservations, and this vaccine, by the way, it's not new. It's not. If you remember, there was the SARS outbreak. Now, when we got SARS, we thought that it was going to be a pandemic because it had spread from Hong Kong to other different countries, Canada, blah, blah, blah. By the time 800 people were dying, scientists had already started working on a vaccine because that was the first coronavirus. Remember, this is called SARS-CoV-2. So that it's the same kind of virus, but it has changed kidogo. So we had the SARS-CoV-1, the SARS virus. So when we thought it was going to be a pandemic, scientists had already started working on the vaccine. And that is 2003. We are now in 2021. So that is years and years of research on making this vaccine. So when we had this pandemic for COVID-19, the groundwork for the vaccine had already started. So all we needed to do was just isolate the component that we needed for this COVID-19 virus.
So they've been working on it for a long time.
They have been working on it.
So the
delivery of the vaccine had already started being worked on. So what happened was, if you look at the way the vaccines are being made now, I think you've seen the images of COVID on TV.
The red thing.
Yeah,
with it's so scary.
They call it corona because it's like a crown. So now the two spikes on top are called the spike protein. So that spike protein is the one that attaches to your cells, attaches to your nose, invades and causes disease. Okay. So we had to figure out how do we isolate this spike protein so that we can help you make antibodies against it. So remember, the work for the vaccine had started in 2003. So all scientists needed to do was just isolate that spike protein, get the DNA material for it, and that is what you're being given as a vaccine.
Which wasn't a lot of work.
Which is not a lot of work, because already the mechanism behind the other vaccine had been worked on for years. And sometimes there's a bit of skepticism. You mentioned cancer and other diseases that have been affecting us. The work that has been started with this vaccine is actually going to be replicated in a lot of other diseases. Like, there's a lot of benefit that is coming from the development of this vaccine that I think we shall see from years to come with translation into other types of vaccination. Even there's a lot of talk on the HIV vaccine and how they can borrow from this vaccine. So I feel like it's been a blessing also for the scientific community that we were pushed into this dire situation, and it's going to help solve a lot of problems for other diseases as well.
Okay, kwa hivyo tumejua hii kitu kwanza juzi. Tunashindwa, hii imefika haraka.
Coronaviruses are very many, very, very many. And you see, they're only responsible for like small two homas, so we're never really concerned about them. The ones that we are concerned about, the two of them, SARS and now COVID-19, it's because they don't only cause homa, they give you severe respiratory disease. But coronaviruses are many, and they've been with us for millions and millions of years.
So now we have ni 3 vaccines, ama ni
5.
Already 5.
Yeah,
so mimi kama Cele, I think I only know ile ya S, ile ya Russia,
Sputnik.
Ile ilikuwa private hospitals, and the very now the common one. The names are so hard. Hata siwezi jaribu, hata nikienda hospitali kama mimi mtu mzee nasema tu nipatie ile vaccine ya COVID. So hata the second time I'm going to get, I don't know which one I took.
So the thing to understand about how vaccination, especially in Kenya, has been rolled out, out of all the different vaccines, remember I was telling you, we only needed the DNA material for that spike protein. So what the vaccine that we give you the genetic material for that vaccine. So once we inject you with that DNA material, some of them use RNA, your body is able to make the protein that looks like the spike protein. So now your body can build antibodies against that spike protein. That's the process of the vaccination, is to create that. Now, different companies will use different technologies, but the science is basically the same. Now, for us guys and for Kenya, why I think AstraZeneca was a preferred choice is because, like for Pfizer and Moderna, those vaccines require to be stored at -70 degrees.
So we have Pfizer.
So there's Pfizer, there's Moderna, there's Johnson & Johnson, there's AstraZeneca, there's Sputnik.
Currently, the one that's in almost everyone
in Kenya is AstraZeneca.
Kuna jina ngumu sana, si hata mtupatie kajina karahisi.
AZ, basi.
Oh,
Yeah, so like a lot of countries, like the US, are mostly using Pfizer and Moderna, but for them, their immunization fridges can store a vaccine of -70. Now for us guys, because of our weather, our fridges are between 2 and 8 degrees. And the only vaccine that can survive those temperatures is AstraZeneca.
Which is what percent?
Which is what percent? The negative, the 2 to 8 degrees.
The vaccine is
efficacy. So discussing efficacy of vaccines, I find, can be a little bit tricky because there's so many variables. Like when Pfizer and Moderna started working on their vaccine, it was very, very early in the pandemic. So the cases were not very high, so they had very good outcomes. So you could say it's 95% efficacious, meaning that if you get the vaccine, if 100 people get the vaccine, maybe 5% will get disease. So it means that 95% won't, and that's the efficacy. Now, when Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca started their trials on their vaccine, this is when we had the other different strains, the UK version, the SA version. Now, those versions of COVID-19, they're not really deadly, they're just more infectious. So it means, like, for example, with the original strain, if one person enters a room and they have COVID, out of 10 people, 3 will get infected. But now, with these other new strains, if you enter the room, out of 10 people, 7 will get infected. So it's highly transmissible. So now, when the Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and AstraZeneca started their trials, it was during that high spread of the virus. So more people were getting sick. So then when you look at efficacies of 70%, you can think that this is not as effective. But there are so many other variables with that clinical trial that we can't compare the two vaccines. And then also think about some of the vaccines that we're using in Kenya, like for malaria, for rotavirus, which you give our children openly. They have efficacies of about 49%, 50%.
And we give it.
And it works. But so what you need to know is we just need to make sure that we vaccinate everyone. That is the target. So if you start looking at those numbers, I want Pfizer, that will not help you. If there's a vaccine that's been given to you,
go get it.
Take it.
Just go get vaccinated. But does it mean hautagonjeka? What does it mean ukiget vaccinated?
So usually, like especially for the AstraZeneca vaccine, what we're saying is that if you're vaccinated today, 2 weeks from now, your body starts building antibodies. So it means that even if you're exposed to COVID, you will not get the severe form that requires you to be admitted. So you'll still be protected. Unaweza kata like a homa, cold and flu, but you'll not go to hosi. Then once you get your second dose, the booster dose, it means now after that you'll be protected against getting disease. So we encourage everyone to get vaccinated because what we want to do is make sure that we prevent severe disease. Hata ukiget COVID, by the way, afadhali upate homa, but not the one that requires you to go to ICU or to be put on oxygen.
So mimi nitakuwa vaccinated, team atakuwa vaccinated, maybe the everyone around us atakuwa vaccinated, but Tugi hakui vaccinated. So how come sasa sisi tumejisaidia na yeye mtoto?
Now, for like children.
Yeah, children.
So children, the thing is, when we're doing trials on the COVID-19 vaccination, the people who are at risk for getting severe disease are adults, not children. Children, and then, because even the immune system is a bit naive, so usually the virus binds to another receptor called the ACE receptor. For children, that the receptor is not that well developed. So there's usually not much to bind on, and that's why kids don't get sick from COVID, because the immune system is a bit immature. Mm-hmm. So we found that they don't get severe disease. So the clinical trials are to make sure that people don't get to ICU. There are some countries in Europe who have already reached their target population for elderly, and they're starting clinical trials on vaccination of children between 6 and 17. But remember, there are people who take flu vaccines. The flu vaccine has been around for a long time. It is recommended for elderly people who are at risk of getting very, very sick from the flu. Do we give children flu vaccine? Because they're hardy. Because they can bounce off of it.
Watoto wako na tu vaccines mingi.
Yeah, that's for diseases that will kill them. Oh. So we try and target. Like, for example, an adult can survive diarrhea better than a child can.
Yes.
So they need to be vaccinated against those illnesses because when you're doing science, you also have to look at resources. Who do we target? Who do we assist? So for kids, we are like, these are the diseases that make them vulnerable. COVID-19 does not make them vulnerable. It makes the adults or the elderly vulnerable, and those are the people who we have tried to focus on first.
So even the kids with underlying conditions, they're still okay?
They're still okay. I mean, I know diabetes is a significant issue in terms of causing severe illness, but overall, we have not seen a complicated disease with children. Very, very few.
Okay. So, sasa mwenye alidungwa, when this thing started, vaccine, watu walikuwa na hype. Unajua hiyo hype. Because either way, as I said, mimi najua usipodungwa ama udungwe, uko kwa shida. So heri nidungwe. At least I'm better off. Si ati sitakuwa mgonjwa. But at least I'm better off. That's the only reason Celestine will get vaccinated. So kuna mwenye alidungwa hiyo Sputnik. Ni?
Sputnik.
Yes, that one. Na imeisha. Ali-invest, akaenda akadungwa. Just, of course, kila mtu anataka kuwa safe. Round 2 hakuna hiyo vaccine. Atafanya?
So this is what we say, even for AstraZeneca, even for Moderna, Pfizer, you cannot move from one vaccination to the next. Not just as a vaccine, you can dose. Like Sputnik, you do 21 days after you do another one. AstraZeneca, you do your first dose. After 8 weeks, you do your second one. If at any time you're vaccinated with one vaccine, and then it's no longer available, you have to start again. So unachukua tu dose ingine, alafu unaanza mapema. You can't finish now. Ulianza na Sputnik, second dose with AstraZeneca. If it's not available, unaanza tu first dose AstraZeneca, second dose AstraZeneca.
Ile ingine ikiwa kwa mwili? So I wait nimalize time yangu, I go start again one.
You start again.
So I go for another one, there'll be like 3. If mara ya pili upate pia imeisha, you go and start again. You live starting and starting and starting. Okay.
That's a clear dilemma, but we are hopeful that your government has you in its mind, so it'll make sure that it'll avail to you your first and your second dose of the same vaccine. So the thing is also just follow Ministry of Health guidelines, CDC guidelines, whichever vaccine is being offered to you, authorized by Ministry of Health, go with that plan, because then they'll plan for your first dose and your second dose.
Also the side effects. People are getting side effects mpaka unaogopa.
Let me tell you, the thing is, remember I told you, when you're getting the vaccine, you're making that spike protein so that your immune system can recognize it and be able to start building antibodies. So that immune reaction That is, you're feeling like the way you feel when you're coming down with a homa. You know, when you're coming down with a homa, it's not the virus that's making you sick, it's your own body. Like your body is making your body inhabitable for the virus. It'll give you a fever, chills. So that's your immune system making your body so uncomfortable and fighting the virus. So that's the same thing you're feeling. It's just you building antibodies.
So kuna Mkenya huko nje anasema, or rather this is how we are reasoning. Nyinyi mkivaccinatiwa wengi, mi nikose, si I am okay. I am safe. Nyinyi mmevaccinatiwa, kwa hivyo ugonjwa hakuna.
Now, unfortunately, if everybody thinks like that, nobody's going to be vaccinated because everybody is saying the responsibility is on my neighbor, but nobody's taking action. But if you say my neighbor's responsibility is my responsibility, then everybody will be vaccinated. But mkisema hivyo kila mtu tafikiria the other person is doing something.
And when we get vaccinated, sisi wote itaisha? Ama ita...
Yeah, so what we are trying to make sure is the same way we eradicated polio and smallpox. Just make sure this virus has no host.
But you still have people who suffer smallpox,
No,
polio.
Smallpox, no. Gone kabisa. Polio we eradicated. Measles,
Si kila mtu anapewa.
yeah, not everybody is getting measles. So the problem is if you don't vaccinate everyone and then some children are getting the disease, then you'll never eradicate it. So the thing is just aggressively is numbers. We need everybody to be vaccinated.
Okay, so guys, are you going to get vaccinated as Dr. Angie is saying? Because me personally, I know I will get vaccinated because it's the only way that will make me feel kind of safe. Unajua, ile unasema, nisikae, okay, one, usikae mtu hata haujijali. Wacha tu vaccinate ukaenyewe, you care about yourself. And then two, utafeel some sort of safety.
And then, you know, you people are assuming very many things. Like now, if you look at the third wave in Brazil, a lot of the cases of people in ICU care are people between the ages of 25 and 40. And previously, you know, we had already said, you know, I'm not old, I don't have diabetes, I don't have high blood pressure, I'm safe. We don't know enough about this virus for you to make that assumption. We are seeing people who have no underlying conditions, nothing. Like this virus is just showing us dust every day. So you're getting young people who you can't even predict who is going to complicate from this disease, who is not. Mm-hmm. So don't assume because you're a certain demographic, you're safe. This thing is just showing us new things every day. Please get vaccinated. Don't assume you're young, you're an African, you have no underlying conditions. Imagine tunaoneshwa tu dust.
So just be safe.
Just be safe. Protect yourself.
But sasa Angie, tumeshaambiwa frontline workers and the aged. Mimi siko hapo. I am nowhere in that list. So I have to wait for my turn. And I don't know I'm going to wait for how long. Juu bado kuna elderly wengi. Kabla wamalizie frontline workers wote.
But you know, you have a responsibility. Even, you know, usually what we say is waiting is not waiting. It's what you do while you're waiting. You have a responsibility to learn about this vaccine, to educate your community.
We are steaming at night with... Tuna steam kwa nyumba na towel.
No. Learn enough about the vaccine. Talk to the people around you, your community, your parents, your uncles, the elderly, those who are vulnerable. Educate them. Make sure that they're getting vaccinated. As you wait for your turn, just do the responsible thing and educate other people around you to be vaccinated who are eligible.
Message za WhatsApp zinatuambia tukule machungwa, tukunywe dawa, the one for ndimu and garlic, ginger.
You can do all those things, but you know they have their own added benefits. But specifically, especially for COVID, go to the WHO website, go to the CDC website, go to the Ministry of Health website. That is verifiable information. Anything else that is just doctorwho.com, wachana nazo. Just go to verified pages, get your information from there. You'll be safe. Anything else is a lot of speculation. Some of it has not even been researched. So you might end up doing so much, but it's not helpful.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we wear our masks, sanitize, keep distance. Vaccine, if you can, get the vaccine.
You know, the reason why we're telling you to continue wearing your masks, imagine the way I explained to you that your body is building antibodies against the virus. It doesn't mean that there's a physical shield. So, of course, the virus will still try and come and hang out in your nose and invade. But because you have antibodies, you will not get disease. But because the virus is still there, if I'm talking to you who have not been vaccinated and I'm coughing or sneezing, I can still pass the virus to you. So the virus can come, will not make me ill, but I can pass it to you and make you sick. So you still, even if you've been vaccinated, you have a responsibility to wear your mask, especially around people who have not been vaccinated, because you can't make them ill.
Yeah, because they feel like once someone has been vaccinated, they feel like, no, I can't get sick. mtu anaanza saa kujiachilia ati saa mimi
And then
nilidungwa.
imagine, like, and this is the thing, there's people who've taken risks. Like, umevaccinatiwa leo, 2 days after, you're just doing the most, attending every rally, every bash. But remember, you've not started building antibodies. So if you get the COVID-19 between now and 2 weeks, remember I told you after 2 weeks, at least your body's building antibodies, you'll be protected. Between then and 2 weeks, if you get the disease, it'll go how it was supposed to go. If you're going to get severe form of the disease,
the day you took the vaccine in 2 weeks.
If you're exposed to the COVID, kama ungekupata the bad form, you'll get it. You're not protected yet.
Ina work after 2 weeks. Ndio inaanza kufanya kazi. So then after 2 weeks oh my goodness. So bado, so the sooner you get it, the better.
The sooner you get it, the better. Yes.
Again, there's a lot of questions. The sooner I get it, but again, I'm not in the front line. Again, I'm not the elderly. Again, ni mpaka ukapange line uko juu. Haziko private. Unajua za private zilikuwa zinasaidia because you go by. Unajua uko wako wanauliza hizo vitu zote. But sasa you're telling, I have all this information now, Angie. I really need the vaccine, like right now. Yes. But unaona, bado
you still have so many tools at your disposal. Masks, sanitizer, social distancing. You're still okay.
Oh, so I maintain that.
Maintain. Until you get your vaccine, maintain. Because you see, the thing is, we are saying, even if you get disease, again, I told you, it can go either way. But for you right now, you're not really a high-risk group. So we are saying, let's give the guys who we know disease has shown us that they can go a certain way.
So Dr. Angie, na sio mimi nasema, ni watu wanauliza. Kuna tu watu tu wanauliza. So there was this case ya wale walidungwa, then ukidungwa sijui it causes sijui blood clots, sijui you can die, issues ka hizo. Of course najua we are different. But kuna tu hizo, ukisikia story, na sisi utaka hizo story. Najua hizo stories usonga sana kuliko like the real story, the real thing. Yeah, so is it true possibilities?
Now, unfortunately, for us as doctors, we treat clots. I think if you look at countries that collect data, US, they have 900,000 cases of clots every year. 900,000. Sometimes you can find the reason. You can say, oh, it's cancer, there's some underlying immune issues. Like we can find a reason why there are clots. Sometimes we can't. So we say, when doctors don't know something, they call it idiopathic. They use a nice name, idiopathic clot. It just means I don't know what's going on. So sometimes we don't figure it out and we treat. This is the first time universally that everybody has a common factor vaccination. There's never been anything like that where adults have the same underlying factor. So of course now when this thing started happening, some countries were like, hold, let us make sure that there's nothing in this vaccine that is making people sick. So they held it. AstraZeneca did their trials, tried to see. They said, okay, fine, there's no causation. There's nothing that's linking it. Unfortunately, now also Johnson & Johnson, guys who've been vaccinated some guys have gotten clots. So it's not even the vaccine that's making people sick. It's, remember I told you your body is building antibodies against this virus. Some people are building antibodies against platelets. And so that is what is causing the symptoms. So that they deplete their platelets and then they form clots. So now what we're saying is, this is an easily treatable condition. If you have a clot, we can give you blood thinners, you can be sour. People who've been vaccinated, and it's very important, if you have symptoms of like headache, severe abdominal pain, dizziness, like blurred vision, go see your doctor immediately and say, and this is very important, I've been vaccinated, and these symptoms usually start maybe 6 to 10 days after you've been vaccinated. So go say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what it is. I've had some cases of patients who I have vaccinated who've come with those symptoms. We've done a scan quickly, negative. So it's easy to treat. Let's look out for it. But at the end of the day, the risk is so small for that. Like if you look at the number of cases out of the number of people who've been vaccinated, the risk for getting that clot is 0.0000067%. So it's still very small. So also the benefit of the vaccine outweighs the risk. However, if you get any of those symptoms, usilalie, go to the doctor immediately, let them assess for them. There are tests that we can do. We can do a test to see that the platelet antibody that's making you unwell, and we can give you medication quickly. So it can be treated if it's caught early.
Is there a way vaccine inaweza anza kuwa na issues za infertility problems? Because people also scared. Wanaweza kuwa wanatupangia uzazi kilazima.
Lakini sasa mnafaa kupangia uzazi kidogo lakini
like cha force.
No. There's literally no risk of infertility. I think people have been concerned about does it come and interfere with the DNA? It doesn't even enter your genetic material. All you're doing is giving the DNA for that protein. Your body makes the protein, you form antibodies. That's the only process that's happening. There is no interference with anything else.
Sasa mimi, thank you so much Dr. Angie for the information, for everything. Lakini sasa kuna shida moja. Nimetoka, umeniconvince. Celestine is convinced. Tomorrow I'm going for the vaccine. Nimefika hapo nimefunguliwa cooler box. I'm assuming. Nimetolewa kamaji, nimewekewa hivi. I can't even tell if this is the vaccine. I can't even tell. Is this water? I can't even tell. Sijui, like, trust. Mi sina trust. Naweza dungwa hewa, naweza dungwa maji, naweza dungwa kitu inakaa tu. Like, hapo ndo tumefika.
So unajua, you can't now micromanage every single profession. Like for me right now, do I know if we are recording? Do I know if this camera is
Trust
working?
Me, we are recording.
How am I going to trust you? See, but you say I'm trusting you because this is your profession. You're the one who knows. So you have told me, come, sit, do this, let's discuss everything as the background since you've worked on them, right?
Okay.
For us as medics, I feel like we have to start trusting human beings. Like when I wake up in the morning, imagine I have your best intentions at heart. Like me, I'm here to serve you. A lot of doctors spend their lifetime in school in service of you. So I think just to start believing in each other as professionals, that we want each other's best interests at heart.
So we start trusting you guys. Enyewe juu hata venye nilienda Hosi nikaambiwa enda theater unaenda. I don't know anything about theater. Mtoto akatoka. I don't know this doctor. I don't know these people. But walinisaidia. Na wakaniambia kujanga sindano kila siku vaccine after every, and I was going there. Okay.
Because the people who will benefit from creating chaos. And as much as everybody, governments, institutions have their flaws, but innately human beings are not extremely evil. I think we all want to help each other.
Yeah. It's all for our best. Juu tukiwa sawa tutarudi job.
Yes.
Life will be back to normal. Okay, sasa hiyo ndo vita tuko nayo. We are going to work on our trust issues. But thank you so much, Dr. Andy. One last thing. Yani, I'm sorry, I have so many questions about this vaccine. We have kids who are going back to school. Au tumesema wasidungwe, au tumesema they're okay. But how do we prepare for these kids who are going back to school? Especially the young ones. The small ones. Wenye hata hiyo mask. Wenye hata hiyo kusanitize. Mask itaachwa hapa ivaliwe na ule watashare sweetie watafanya. Like, how do we prepare for those kids?
Speaking as a mother, this pandemic has been very, very difficult on our children. And I feel like even them going back to school, the onus is not on the children to prepare. The onus is on the parents and on the schools. If you look at the CDC website, they have a full toolkit on how to go back to school, how to make the environment safe for children. Your children are supposed to be children. The schools, the teachers, the principals, the administrators are supposed to prepare for them. So I feel like we shouldn't really give the emotional burden of this pandemic to the children. I think we should let them be and then have the people who are responsible for taking care of them to manage them. Make sure that they're wearing the mask properly, that they're sanitizing it, but they still have a sort of a semblance of normalcy. So they've gone through so much. I don't think we should give them the burden of dealing with this pandemic. I think we should give the adults the capacity to make sure that they are safe.
But as a normal mom, as a normal human being, utakwaziliza now sanitize, now mask, now fanya hivi, yani like at the end of the day
it'll go out the door. It'll go out the door as soon as you finish talking. They are forgotten. So along every step of the way, like for example, like my daughter's school, because she resumed on physical school, although it was like maybe 2 to 3 times a week. The school was very, very structured in terms of how they were making the children safe. So they split the classes so that they were social distanced. They didn't have playtime, which is sad. They didn't serve school lunch, so you had to pack lunch. They eat at their desks. So the school did take precautions to make sure that they can be in school, they can still do physical learning, but at the same time be safe. And as much as I felt like the school was being strict, my daughter was happy to be in school, to see her friends, even if it was in a distance way. But there's no time that I ever told her what to do. The school was there to manage them as they went along. And I think she didn't feel responsible which is what I don't think we should make our children feel.
Yeah.
The schools have to take the responsibility to make the children safe.
Yeah. Ukweli. Kids will watasahau. Watasahau.
Yeah. So every 5 minutes, somebody has to be there to just correct them, and with kindness, because they're children and they're social and they're loving. So just correct them with kindness and just keep them safe.
Wow. Thank you so much. Anaongea vizuri. The children and social and they love it. Yeah? Afungue mdomo sana. Eh? Like, thank you so much, Dr. Angie. Thank you for coming to Cele's Reflection.
Thank you for having
Please come back again.
Always.
Yeah, so guys, I hope mmesikia ingawaje anaongea pole pole. Yani ako composed, sika mimi. Yeah, but thank you so much, guys. See you next week on Cele's Reflection. Bye bye. Bye.